This name, everyone will know in the world of football, I'm sure. Victor Osimhen. And people will be screaming, hold on, why have you got Napoli on the screen? He's Galatasaray. Well, just to be clear, he's on loan at Galatasaray because obviously he's had his travails, shall we say, at Napoli. He only has a year left to go on his Napoli deal this summer, which I think is really important to set it up. This guy, as everyone will know, Bart, before we get into solid metrics, is a goal machine. Football has told you that if you watched enough football. He is a goal machine, whether it be in Italy, whether it be in Turkey. And people will also point to things like potential injuries. They will also point to question marks around attitude, potentially. Everyone's just a little bit unsure on attitude with Osimhen, mainly because the Napoli owner is a bit insane, isn't he, really? And tends to fall out with everyone at some point. So it's hard to really pinpoint, whether is that. And then Tony Conte's in the mix as well now. So, that was never going to smooth anything over, was he? The other thing I really want to shout, Bart, is I think people need to know the background to this. When Darwin Núñez was potentially leaving for Saudi in January, Liverpool was seriously looking at the possibility of Victor Osimhen coming in then. It was set to be a temporary deal, but alas, sliding door moments never happen. Núñez doesn't go to Saudi in Jan, so there's no Osimhen coming in and all those types of things. But just the fact Liverpool were prepared to look at him seriously in January, and the links have started again with Sky and others saying they're having a look at him now, means he cannot be discounted. Someone said to me the funny thing as well about Osimhen, well, all he does is score goals. Well, if that's all he does, sign me up, because that's often what we need. But I am fascinated to see how the metrics stack up on this player.
Yeah, I think we were chatting off air about this potential in January, or we were both. I think to be fair to us, both of us could see the massive upside of taking him on loan, banking your money for Núñez at that time, and having this guy because let's be frank, and it has actually played out. Núñez is fifth choice. If you look at his minutes played, whether you like it or not, that's just how it is. So bringing in someone who is on loan, you can turn back at the end of the season and with the potential to be better than that, have an impact. And if he doesn't, you're not actually worse off. I saw loads of upside. And it didn't happen. Fair enough. We all move on. He's got 26 goals this season, right? And that is 5 assists as well in all competitions. So when you said he's a goal machine, I know it's Turkey, the rest of it. Yeah, I can look at it later at the conversion tactic, but he's still got to score. There's still goals to put the ball in the back of the net. You've still got to do that, right?
6 in the Europa League and 7 as well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not. I know people are, but it's not Champions League. I'm like, you still have to beat what's in front of you, right? So playing time. This is your key stuff. So the thing to note with him, and I will look. I've got transfer market loaded up for the injuries. He has got 2021. So we'll start again. So we go when he went Lille in France, right? Probably his top. Yeah. 1920, he played 228 minutes. Okay. 2021, he's played 1,500. 21-22, he's played 1,900. Then for Napoli, when they won the title, in 22-23, he played 2,500. Then 23-24, he put out 2,000, so another injury. And this season, he's played 1,800. All right, and they're currently winning the league. That's right, Turkey. So there's, when he's fit, he starts, right?
Yeah.
Probably fair to say he's got a high amount of starts here. Doesn't complete games like 90s. He's got 20, 22. So he comes off a fair bit. All right. So he does have a pedigree for minutes, but it's not at the super high amount that we would expect, right? He has got some peaks in there around 2.5 is his highest. 2,000 seems to be his average, right? So that's just a caveat We'll look at his injury record when we get there. We look at the problem with Turkey is there's not a lot of great stats.
Yeah.
Top per 90. His XG is 0.6. So Super League, I won't even give you that. So his last season in Italy, right? He was adding 0.68. When they won the league, he was adding a whole XG. He's generally added to teams' performances when he's been on the pitch.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, again, not a bad thing to be considering when you are signing a forward, right? Does he add to your XG, i.e. your ability to win the game when you're on the pitch? Tick. Yes. Right. Okay. That's a good thing to be having. If we then look at where we're getting that, go here, or shot goal connections, trying to find the XG expected. Here we go. Talk about that too. So in his best seasons, he expected non-penalties 0.52 so when they won the title 0.66. So that's well above what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Again, I can't give you Turkey because it's not available. We look at non-penalty XG and XJ combined. Again, in his top 0.76. Right, when they won the league, and actually on an off season for them 0.66. So he's consistently hitting that level that we've set for our forwards, right? So that is a good thing to look at. Now, if we start getting into the metrics, there's only one toggle for him. He's a forward. People need to get away from it. He's not a 9. Sorry, he's not a 10. He's not a 9.5. He's a 9. All right? Simple as that. Defensively, he wins a fair share of aerials. That's probably because he's brought back to defend on corners. Cool. Yeah. We asked Núñez and Jota to do that anyway, so that's fine. Does do a lot of the other stuff. Interceptions, though, that is interesting because it means he's being proactive, trying to nip it in front, trying to win that ball rather than dealing with it reactively through a block or a tackle. So that's really interesting. 78th percentile. What does he do? Clearly, he's receiving the ball out of the pitch. He receives possession passes 69%, right? So even the way Galatasaray play, which we'll come on to in a minute, probably not set up for that long progressive pass, he's still receiving a fair amount of them. Touches in the penalty box, 99th percentile. This is your forward, he's in the box. He's, that old classic, he comes alive in the box. Well, clearly he does because he's getting nearly 9 touches a game in the box, right? Take on 69th percentile. Okay, decent. Progressive carries the ball a little bit when he needs to, comes deep, spins, takes it, 76th percentile. Pass completion for a forward for us, as I said, it's around the mid-70s, so he's in and around there, but he's low for the forwards in general. Passes attempted, 12th percentile. So that suggests to me, if I'm being honest, he gets the ball, looks to get a shot off. All right, that's generally what his game is, all right? Yeah. And that also reflects in, look at his assists, 28th percentile. So if you give this guy the ball anywhere near the box, don't expect it back. Okay, so that's just to be clear and up front. And also, I have to be honest with you, I'm not against that. No. that's okay. Because if you've got non-penalty goals at 87th percentile, non-penalty XG at 99th percentile, shots total, nearly 6 a game.
Yeah.
That's 99th percentile. Considering Núñez is in around the 2 and a 2.5, right? Non-penalty XG and XA, 99th percentile. Shot creating actions, 96th percentile. I'm okay with him not passing the ball there to goal, if I'm being honest with you. Because he's doing that. So I thought, again, there are some players that you don't bother comparing them to, right? I'm not going to compare him to Núñez. There is no point. I'm just not doing that. Jota, though, is currently the man in possession. And Jota is a different forward. It's fair to say. Yeah. Jota is asked to do a lot more in his role than Osimhen currently does. So it could be opportunity, but actually he doesn't profile like that kind of player either. All right. But what he is better, he wins more aerially. He has more non-penalty goals and non-penalty XG than Jota, and creates more shots than Jota. So that's interesting. If we compare him to another lad we compared to, again, that's a little bit unfair. One's winning the league, one's just got relegated. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are. I'm just trying to think if there's any more I've got in here lined up recently that we looked at. I have got Nunes actually. There you go. So Nunes is in the red. But Osimhen, in terms of the key metrics for attacking, outperforms him. Yeah. Defensively, Nunes is better in terms of clearances and tackles and blocks. He's better in terms of dribbles and making progressive passes. But in terms of the actual goal scoring stuff, Osimhen outperforms both our current forwards. All right. So he is a 9. All right. We look at dashboard. He's up here on his own. Not a lot of connections, which is what we said, but that's fine. He's in and around zone 14 here. Okay. Again, I'm okay with that. The number of pass networks we looked at, where we have a hole in our zone 14. We have a lovely little arc around here, but the connections to players in here we haven't had this season. Yeah. This player looks like a bit like either, to be fair, probably comes in and solves that issue because that's where he wants to receive the ball. So he can turn, get a shot off. Has he involved? Not involved. Again, I said he's a 9. He's not looking to pass the ball. All right. Get that out of your head. He's not going to be involved in that. He wants to be on the end of stuff. They have a very low pass chain completion with him involved. Again, that's kind of where they want it to be. This is them as a team. They're getting in the areas and playing it into him. So he's involved in some interesting play, but he wants to be on the end of that ball. Yeah. So get it into the key areas and play him in. This would definitely be a change in system for us. He's not going to play in a 4-3-3. He's going to play in a 4-2-3-1. Yeah. So you would need output from Dom and your white players to supply him. The advantage you've got from that when we tried to tweak that system in Nunes' first couple of seasons was that this guy actually has a more consistent output level, whereas Nunes is very up and down, still very up and down. So there would be an advantage to tweaking that system for him. Player, so again, on ball time, 4% of the time. Okay. But shots, he took 4 shots this game, and he was only on the ball for 4% of the time. So that's not bad. 0.13 XG. This is a game they actually lost as well. So that's a decent output considering he had very little involvement in the game. Area of success, 83%. So for a forward, 83% is good. Dual success of 80%. So he's clearly doing some good stuff defensively. In terms of our favourite wagon wheel, it's just bang on the metrics for his area. Nothing to write home about, and that's absolutely fine. EPP, I'm not expecting him to show up. He stops 84% of the threat he faced, just because there's an old favourite in here, what points out. The Ox there, 96% of the threat he faced, Besiktas, still playing his trade. But what is he showing out on the threat? There you go, 3%. So that's not his game, right? They will look to attack down the wide and feed him. That's what they're looking to do. They're not looking for him to create anything from that point of view. Defensively, again, although he had some good metrics for that, in this particular game, didn't put up any trees. That's about 4%, 5-6% of the team's total in his areas, yeah? So XG, didn't have a shot till second half. Okay, probably explains why they didn't win the game. And shots, nearly also 2 out of 3 shots centrally, 1 taken out wide. So that's 0.4, 0.3, and a 0.4. So there are some things I like about him. I'm not going to lie, there are lots of things I like about him. I was just going to try and bring up his actual injury.
It'll be under stats, and it's important just as you're bringing this up because I've seen people say this guy's always injured and injury prone. I'm not saying he's always fit, and the minutes show it's around, as you said, 2,000 average. But when you break down those injuries, it does tend to be about 6 to 9 games a season he misses. And even you look at this season, I mean, respectfully, one's through fever. So I don't know about that, but he may have travelled. You know, anyone can get ill at any point. But if you just look at the season breakdown, it tends to be, for most of the time, depending on how far you want to go back, about 6 to 9 games, doesn't it?
The day always looks worse because you don't know whether that was an international break or whatever else, right? But here, like you said, take out the fever. That's 6 games this season. Last season, he's got 4-1-1. That's a bit more. It's got 9 on hamstring. So that's the 23-24 is a little bit more of a worry. He had a big dip there. 22-23, he's done another hamstring. And then 21-22, everyone had coronavirus then, and I don't think that flippantly, apologies all. He missed 13 games there with a broken cheekbone with the mask, wasn't it? So that's a little bit different to
exactly.
The worries there are your hamstring injuries. Okay, they're your ones that would be a slight concern, but he hasn't done that since October 2023.
Yeah.
So there could be signs that has been amassed, but I think it would be amiss of us to say that isn't a slight worry, because we would, if you want him to start all the games, that's more minutes than he's played in his career, like generally speaking. Yep. So that's a slight concern. You are going to have someone else play with him as a rotation option. So there you go.
Yeah, John P said it there. See, you'd have to treat him similar to Isaac because you can't do the minutes, which means you need another 9. This is the key point for me for Osimhen. I'll see if you match where I don't just dismiss this out of hand, because people will look at that injury and say, hold on a little bit. As you said, it's not disaster, but there's things to note there. Although it's been a while since the hamstring, that's important to say. Isak, I mean, we all know the rumoured fees around the £120 million mark, for Isak. That's kind of your market metric where we are at the moment. Osimhen, Bart, with a year left to go, it suggested that Napoli would take around the 50 to 60 million mark, somewhere around there, mainly because of his pedigree and, his banging in goals. The fact that Osimhen also, in another world, is on loan at us now currently, isn't he? So, they had that negotiation. So his wages will have fit in to Liverpool's, I don't know how you put it, wage structure is probably the best thing.
Yeah.
Let's say this guy's wages were within our structure and the cost was, and let's go top end then, 60 million, which, let's just be clear, is half the price of Isaac. Does that move him in the rankings for you at all?
It does a lot, because the concerns are the same for both, right? People could tell me about Isaac, he's done this, he's done that, but he does still pick up injuries, right? Yeah, you look at, if you flip the Newcastle game around the other way, right? If that had been us going away to a title contender, and we couldn't play our starting forward, you'd be flipping mad. Great, you played the cup final, the League Cup, but Liverpool Football Club isn't about League Cup weeks; it's about league titles, right? So we need our 9 to be there playing and inform all the key games, and that's my concern with Isaac. It is also my concern with Osimhen. But the thing I would say with those price points, like a 60 million and less wages for a guy that, I mean, I pulled up the comparison here. Yes, Isaac is far better in a lot of other areas, right? I'm not going to lie to you. But in terms of pure goal scoring, I would say they match up. If Osimhen hasn't slightly got the edge over Isaac, or they're very, very similar, right? So if you're going to move to a pure 9, which even Isaac, when we looked at him, didn't give us the output we would need for a 9.5 or a 10, right? If you're going to move to that pure 9 model, half the price, half the wages, and a similar injury profile or regularity, should we say, that does change things a little bit for me. That does change things. And also, Osimhen's won a league title. Right, won a league title. There's a lot to be said for guys who won a league title in a top league. And there's no bones about it. To win a Serie A title takes some doing. All right, it's not Turkey. You know what I mean? That's a little bit higher up. And Isaac, I don't think he has. So, I'm saying there's a lot to be said for pedigree players who win league titles.
Yeah, half the price it would seem to be for the transfers. Wages again, I don't know if it would be half, but we know he's, they had the deal within Liverpool's structure. That's important to know at the same time as well. So, yeah, people, overall price point, it's one of those. Is Osimhen probably going to be absolutely top of the list? That is probably hard to justify. I don't think you can get in above Alvarez for us in that regard. But is Osimhen in the mix and one to just keep an eye on for this summer? I think it's fair to put him in that category, isn't it, Bart? You can't ignore just the pure goal scoring ability.
100%. I think people with that, but Alvarez for me is still top choice. He's bomb proof. He has output, corrective, and attacking and goal scoring. So for me, if you get him, and he's young, I would get him like that. I've said that up front. But in terms of this, I think this guy, if you can't get the notch down, I think he's a decent option to consider 100%. And I think, Delap is someone that we might have to come back to and reprofile because there's a lot of links about him. But I would suggest for the price comparison, there is no comparison. Delap's going to have the Premier League tax on him, right? Osimhen isn't, and one's got more profile than the other. So it's interesting. But I think he definitely comes up the rankings for me, purely on the deal you can do with him. And he's got consistent output.
So there you go, ladies and gents. 3 players in different positions, different areas of the pitch. Mark Gay, a lot to like. Some very good green, as we say, in the metrics. But when your aerial success is below 60, there's a Premier League tax, even with a year left. English, homegrown. There are a few question marks there, no doubt. Fermin Lopez, exceptional on the ball. Position would be interesting. Barcelona play a different way, a different system. But if it could be part of the Luis Diaz deal, seems a hard one to imagine. You never know. We would not ignore it at all. And what we are definitely not ignoring is Victor Osimhen. People will dismiss it for injuries. Don't do that. People will say all he does is score goals and dismiss it that way. Definitely don't do that because goals pay a lot of bills and forgive a lot of sins. So there you go, people. 3 different profiles, but 3 sets of metrics run. All it leaves me to say as ever is Bart, for the time, the insight, and for answering all the questions. It is much appreciated, pal.
No worries, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another episode of Transfer Market Metrics.